Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Wednesday, today's Walk on Wednesday, which is a day that we excavate special people practicing Bhakti, and we drag them on the show, and we poke them around and ask them some questions. And we have two of my favorite people in the universe here today, Kishore Rico and Bali Rico. And you might notice they have the last name. What?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just weird?
Welcome,
Bali. Welcome to the show. And Kishore, are you there? Can you hear us? Kishore's playing around with his stuff right now.
Oh, he disappeared. I guess he's going to have to come back in.
Okay. Mary, you're going to have to let him back in. Bali, you got to do the talking. So
welcome.
welcome. These guys are from the Mayapuris. If you're unfamiliar with them, they are they're one of my favorite bands. Bhakti bands. What do you call it? Kirtan bands. Kirtan music. Is there a name for your type of music? Is it just kirtan? What do you?
We love to do kirtan, and we like to hang out together.
That's it. Truthfully, it makes the best. Even in the regular material world, it makes the best bands that like to hang out together. And these guys have been jamming. Mara, listen to this one. They've been playing since they were how long? How old together?
Somewhere in second or third grade. I think that makes us like 6 or 7.
Mara, have you been doing music with anybody from second grade? No. And the interesting thing is, think what type of music you'd be doing together in second grade. It'd be a lot different. These guys are have been doing kirtan together from second grade. Is that incredible or what?
I think in second grade, we had a kazoo kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I had a recorder in second grade, and I was not playing anything that sounded remotely like Shelter. Progressively playing kirtan. Kishore's back. Good morning, Kishore.
Good morning. Sorry about that. I was trying to hook up the headphones, but it was giving me problems, so I'm back to AirPods.
You sound good, actually, so no problem.
Great.
Thank you.
And you guys look great for 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. too. These guys are, and we had Vishwambar on the show too. These guys are really just creative geniuses. And these two brothers and Vishwambar, was anybody else in the original lineup?
Yeah, Juggy. You know Juggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, we started off with four of us playing Mridanga, doing Mridanga demonstrations in the year 2000 or 2001.
And they tour the world. Australia, United States, Europe, and have released, you released 2 full-length CDs, and this is a new single from an upcoming CD, or it's just a single?
This was supposed to be.
Go ahead, Bali.
This was actually supposed to be on our last album, 9 Islands, but kirtan tracks are long, and we're still following that, I think, 72-minute format. So this one, we just decided to save it for the next one. And it's just coming out as a solo project now. Who knows where it will go? But originally it was meant to be one of the islands, and we've put it out a year after the album came out.
So our listeners will know the Mayapuris because at the end of every show, we play your music.
Yeah.
We play Jai Shri Krishna.
I forgot to tell you that little detail. No, we got permission from Vish.
But
Full blessings.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that's a masterpiece that we relish every day. But this new single that you just put out called Hey Nata is it's not a straight out rocking out kirtan song like that. It's got a more dreamy kind of mood, you know.
I feel like I'm walking through the Arisan streets circa, 1855. And I'm hearing some old man singing to Lord Jagannath. That's my vibe. You got a story behind the song?
Well, you know what's interesting is actually the track is like a 15-minute track, maybe even more, 15, 17-minute track. And like Bali was saying, we got into the studio. You know, when we go into the studio, sometimes we don't really have the clearest idea what we're gonna do. I build a sound booth in my little home, and so, you know, Vish and myself, we get in the booth, and then Bali, he sits outside, and then we mic up his mridanga, and then we just let it rip. We press record, and we usually sometimes have an idea. And with this one, this was spontaneous. We didn't do it on a click track, and it built to this long track. And, you know, I don't know if you noticed, but the rhythm is in 5.
Oh,
so
Me and
Bali's
Christopher are
playing.
what does that mean?
5 beats per
Yeah.
measure.
So Bali, he's playing so smoothly. Actually, he's playing so like amazingly that you can't even tell it's a 5 beat. It's so beautiful.
He's playing
And
mridanga.
then he's playing mridanga, yeah. And then it just gradually goes up to this, like, you know, kind of rip roaring or a little higher energetic kirtan. But when we were listening to it, we thought, you know, why don't we just do part 1, part 2, have the first part, you know, 7 minutes, and then, so right now, actually, we're in conversation to meet together to hear the second half. So we got that mridanga take. It was a great take. We put it in the back burner, and, you know, I think like 3 years passed by, and then we revisited it.
And I heard that Vish speaking about it, that he felt it was like an opportune moment to share it because of the current pandemic situation with the Rath Yatra in Puri.
What
Yeah,
happened? Did the Rath Yatra happen this year?
It did. It was amazing. It was definitely different. There wasn't millions of people, but there's footage of it. You should see it. It's really like an intimate experience.
This is a festival that's been celebrated for nobody knows how long, for, you know, hundreds, centuries, many centuries. The Rath Yatra is it's putting Krishna and his brother and sister on a cart. It's done at this very famous temple in Puri, Jagannath Puri in India, where and you may have seen photographs of where there's like literally millions of people in this huge wide street, and it's a very beautiful festival. And now Srila Prabhupada brought that festival all around the world. But this year, they almost didn't have the festival because of COVID. You can't put millions of people together like that. And I believe it was at the last minute that like the government said, okay, let's do it. But it was just like a very minimized thing, but they still did it.
Right.
And so this Vish, you know, the other member of your trio, was explaining that this is a mood of separation in this song, right? It's Hey Natha is a calling out, hey, Krishna, hey, Lord Jagannath. It's calling out in a mood of separation. So it's got that dreamy feel, and maybe that 5 beat format kind of makes it a little different too. It makes it feel a little different than the music that we're used to hearing, but it's a very beautiful song.
You know,
we've actually been, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when they talk about 5 beat and playing the 2, it's like we're dealing with the real Vedic musicians here. This isn't me screwing around on a harmonium. These guys are like doing my thing. These guys are like the real deal. Like, how'd you learn all this stuff? How do you learn all this stuff? How come I'm still not getting any better? How come
I don't know. You know what? Bali didn't have much formal training. That guy is from previous lifetimes. Bali, how did you learn the 5 beat? We've been jamming the 5 beat for over 10 years, actually. And I didn't even know. I just followed these guys.
Yeah, Bali, how'd you learn that?
It's, you know, really, it's just been an immersion in kirtan since we were really young. It's kind of like, where did you learn the morning prayers, the Guru Vastakam or something that we didn't, I mean, at least for ourselves, you just hear it so many times that
so you guys grew up in ashrams? Or no?
We grew up, well, yeah, on temples, in gurukuls, in ashrams, all kinds of settings. You know, me and Kish we grew up in New Talavan and then moved to Alachua in '89. We went to Mayapur. We went to the Gurukul in Alachua,
right.
And then we went to Gurukul in Mayapur.
For those who don't know, this is like a whole Krishna Bhakti communities. Mara, we need
farm communities.
We need a do-over, Mara. We got to take birth again just to grow up like these guys and learn beats and
They all can play all the different instruments. It's like a band where everybody can just switch instruments at any moment.
They can just go
They can
switch,
play
and all of a sudden
drum.
they switch, and they're playing equally as good.
They can play drum. They can play harmonium. They can play cartels. They can play flute. You all play. I know Keisha's an incredible flautist. And Bali, you play flute as well?
Keisha and Vish play flute. I play esraj, which is, you can hear the
Esraj.
instrument. It's a stringed instrument that's played with a bow.
Yeah,
This is actually the first time we recorded it on this track.
Brings a very special mood. And you're also quite the rapper, Bali. My man's got skills on the mic.
No, I was just listening to that this morning for my morning meditation, and it's called Sham's Party. Bali, you can rap like anything, man.
Yeah, that's my.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I can be humble. I grew up listening to hip hop music, and I really think it is.
They smuggled it to the ashram.
Super powerful. Oh, I can't. My Gurukul teachers, my ashram teachers I can't let you in on my secrets because they'll get me in trouble. But yeah, I had cassette tapes back in the 90s with a bunch of Tupac that I probably shouldn't have been listening to.
Okay. Contraband.
Tupac Shakur, we call him Tupac Thakur.
Thakur. Oh, that probably was a Gurukul joke.
Grogu, do you want to play a little clip from it, from the new release?
Well, this is the Thakur. Come on, you. I hear, is the Esraj in this?
Yes, that's that wailing string instrument that you can hear that does little solos.
You guys play sitar too?
Vish plays a little sitar, yeah.
You guys, this must
Vish
be
plays
from
everything.
previous life.
So if you hear, you can hear there's also other strings accompanying the Esraj. There's cello, viola, and violin.
Yeah, this is like next level stuff.
It's like this is music you sit down to and you just get real still and you go like really deep into it.
We actually wanted to challenge ourselves. A lot of the music that we make is high energy. A lot of the kirtan that we do is ecstatic dance and really like expressive and loud. And we wanted to challenge ourselves to see if we could make a track that stayed in one meditative energy from beginning to end. Because sometimes they start meditative and then they launch, they take off. Right. And we wanted to keep it in one place where you can simmer in that deep kind of quiet state, still meditative, still, all of the feeling there, and we were able to do it. The next half of the song is going to be really popping, but this part is nice. It stays relaxed.
Well, I was about to say we kind of cheated. We didn't start it and end it chill because we just cut the track in half.
Okay. You guys are always going to rock out sooner or later.
Yes.
Yeah. Help themselves.
Maybe before we end, maybe you could just share like you two come from like this dynasty of Bhakti-yogis, the Rico family. There's so many of you spread out all over. The family's from Colombia, but so many, you're all talented, and there's so many friends of mine are from your family. Could you just describe your family and how you all came to Bhakti-yoga?
So many friends of yours are from his family?
Yeah, lots of them.
Well, I'll tell a little cool backstory that my dad just confirmed the other day. And I've heard it growing up, but it's a pretty interesting, cool story. So my grandfather, he was, normal blue collar, hard worker, started as a waiter, for a liquor company.
And is this in Bogota or in?
This is in Bogota, Colombia. Colombia. And then he slowly moved up the ladder and he became the owner of the biggest liquor store in the city called La Viña. And so he was well known. He was a millionaire, very wealthy.
Oh.
I mean, he had 12 kids, 13 kids, that's where our family comes from. He had a huge house. And when preaching, when the Hare Krishna movement started coming to South America, when it came through Bogota, and actually it's interesting, Bali's father-in-law was part of that. So Javi, Elon Chester. He's a famous musician in Venezuela.
Right.
When he came to Bogota, him and Dina Bandhu Prabhu. Have you guys had Dina Bandhu on this show?
But we have to.
Okay.
He's the greatest storyteller of Krishna Lila
of all time.
Yeah, so you know, he was speaking Spanish. You know, his wife, Mother Akuti, they came and they just inspired. They did introduce Krishna consciousness to Colombia, basically. But when they came, Srila Prabhupada was still on the planet, and he was gonna go to Colombia, but he only made it to Venezuela in South America, and then went back because his health was bad at that time, so he couldn't go to Colombia. So Riyadananda Maharaj, he was his assistant at that time, and basically, how does the story go? That so my grandfather, they opened up their home for the first meeting, ISKCON meeting in Bogota, Colombia. They didn't have a place, so it was my grandfather's place. And he liked what, you know, how it was changing his sons, and how they were being inspired. Go ahead.
There were 5 brothers that got into it. 5 of his sons.
About 5 out of 7 brothers. I think there's like 7 brothers and 5 sisters or something like that.
My brothers all think I'm crazy.
Yeah. No. So anyway, so then he wanted to give a donation, and this is the cool story where, you know, they asked Srila Prabhupada, you know, there's a liquor store owner in Bogota, and you know, that wants to give a donation. I mean, but it's making money through, you know, breaking one of the principle, no intoxication, and you know, and Srila Prabhupada said, no, it's okay. Just accept the Lakshmi and purify it with devotional service. Okay. And then this is where it's a kind of trippy thing. Well, Srila Prabhupada said, many devotees will come from that family.
Wow.
Interesting.
So amazing. So there's a prophecy.
There's a prophecy.
I mean, that's how the history goes.
So you have 5 uncles or 4 uncles that are all devotees?
There are 13 of us total. Well, 13 uncles and aunts total. And I believe 6 or 7 are fully initiated devotees in the temple. And then the rest are friendly. And some of them, in many ways, they gave their, my cousins, their kids devotional names when they were really inspired, and then kind of maybe went away and came back. But it ended up creating half of the uncles and aunts in my family joined the temple and are still practicing in some form or another. And then out of those 6 or 7 that have had kids, which are us, our generation. And so now out of those 6 or 7, each of them have 3 or 4 kids, which create that. Now it's 18, 20, 30 cousins, and now we're all of the age of us having kids. So it's exponentially
we have like
grown.
70 something, 80 something cousins, something. It's super high up there. And actually my oldest uncle, I just visited him in Bogota, and he was showing me some pictures and videos. He's a kind of like a Christian kirtaniya. I don't know how you would say that. Okay. And he does concerts, for, his church, for, chanting the names of Jesus, to thousands of people. Yeah, he was just showing me footage of him doing a concert with like 7,000 people.
Well, so if you have there's the grandfather, and then your father and uncles and aunts, and then now there's you guys, and now you guys are having kids. So that's like 4 generations. 4
generations of devotees, and you're multiplying like rabbits.
You got to get busy.
He was just waiting for his older brother. Kish is such a respectful Vaishnava. He was waiting for his older brother to take the first step, and then
all right.
Now
I gotta get busy. To learn.
It makes for such a better Christmas experience when you go home and everybody are all devotees anyway. Instead of me going home with my kurta and dhoti looking like a nutcase. Oh, will you guys adopt me, please?
Your honorary Rico, Raghu Rico.
Wow.
Well, Mara and her dad, they're starting their own little dynasty here. Mara, it's pretty cool. Well, thanks for joining. So how can we listen to your music? Let's give a
Yeah, where can they find this new single? Oh, you're
All digital
muted.
platforms. So Hey Nath, spelled Hey, Hey, and then Nath, N is in November, Atha. You can look for it on Spotify, iTunes, download it, CD Baby. It's on YouTube.
Okay. So Hey
Any of those
Nata,
digital
Well,
platforms.
you
Mayapuris.
know, well, if you just go mayapuris.com, I mean, you did everything
Okay.
Bali said. You just go to our website, mayapuris.com. On the front page right there has all the buttons, the links to all the platforms that you all
Right.
listen to.
Okay, so that's
famous
Mayapuris, mypuris.com.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Love
Thank you
guys.
for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, they're on Spotify. They're everywhere, these guys. And I just wanted to mention Dunya's record too. How can we find Dunya's record? This is Bali's wife.
Dunya's at dunyamusic.com. Dunya is Dhanya. And also all available on all digital streaming platforms. The works.
Awesome.
We try and get it out there and spread it as far as we can.
Can't wait to see what your kids start coming up with. It's going to be like,
Oh my
super off the
gosh.
charts.
They're
You know,
just, she was singing
someone's
in
asking,
Kirtan the other day.
Someone's asking, does Bali, I think it was Paramananda, does Bali have a full rap album? I mean, I think Bali's released already a few singles, working on another one, right, Bali?
Yeah, I have 3 songs out. Bali Rico, look me up. And I'm working on one with DJ Drez that should be coming out in a few weeks. He's a great musician and producer.
These guys like talent just pouring out of the computer right now. Thank you.
And actually, since he's mentioning that, I'm just gonna do a quick plug. And actually, I'm gonna be releasing my first single the end of this month. It's just a flute track with ocean sounds, flute meditation track.
She's like the Jackson 5 when they all start doing their thing. They all start doing their solo releases.
I mean, you're in quarantine. What else are you gonna do?
Create. Yeah, I've done programs with both these guys actually, and incredible flute player. Kishore is. Okay.
I've been trying to bully him to make a flute track for the last 10 years. He finally caved in.
Unbelievable. All right. And if you really want to hear Bali rap right away, he's on that. Sham's Party is on from his last album from the Mayapuris 9 Islands. It's a great song. Great song.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. We love you both. And thanks for joining us on Wisdom of the Sages. We're your big fans.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
If you want to stick around, you can sing.
If you want to stick around, if you want to go to Muggle Arctic, you can. If you want to go and write some music, you can. But thank you so much.
We'll be rocking out to you at the end of the show, as we always do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so
so
kind.
much.
All right, Raghu, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's dive into this. That was great. I love these guys. I should have had him rap. Should have had Bali rap, but we got to get into the bottom.
We'll bring him back.
Next time we're going to bring him back just for a rap, a Walk on Wednesday rap. Okay. So we're going to start with our invocation. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta priyeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And excuse me, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Kaustubha, I got to say something. There's 2 walkaways just from having these guys on the show. And one is growing up in a culture of bhakti produces very, very deep beings. And you can't underestimate first of all, the choices of your parents, and then what to speak of a community where people are practicing bhakti. It's incredibly powerful. It directs your life, and these guys are like sort of the ripened fruit of living that life.
No question.
Right? No question about it. You know, it's impressive.
And there's a second walk away?
My second genius point is, let's see, I think I had a second. The second point is, I can't remember. But
That's okay. It'll come to you.
It'll come. All right. Mara.
Yeah.
We good with this? Do you have any announcements about our guest today? We have a kids yoga class on Patreon after this, right? No?
We have a restorative yoga class with Kristen.
Restorative yoga class. Okay. At what time?
6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m. Wow, early. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Right after class, we have
That's
restorative
Eastern
yoga
time.
Yes.
for our Eastern time for our Patreon members.
Who's teaching that?
Kristen Shea.
Oh, awesome. Kristen Shea.
Good. Kristen Shea's playing. We're playing
So
20 questions with Mara. She's not going to give us a straight answer. We have to ask her 20 questions to get the info out of her.
And how do people find that, Raghunath?
Well, if you want to join our Patreon little party that's going on, it's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. And then you can join us, and we have a whole yoga archive of valuable information, live classes, archive classes, workshops, so many good things. Can you guys see me?
I see you frozen, but in any case, I can hear you. So shall we get started, Raghunath? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, there we go. Now you're back.
It's the wrong camera, though. What the hey? All right, you guys are going to get my worst angle now. The up my nostril angle. All right, let's dive in.
We are on Canto 1, Chapter 17, entitled The Punishment and Reward of Kali. And we're on texts 10 and 11, which are translated together.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's happening is that Maharaj Pariksit now has seen Dharma, the bull, just cut down, right? And he's beginning to ask, what's happened here? Fill me in. Why are you suffering?
Okay, text 10. O chaste one, the king's good name, duration of life, and good rebirth vanish when all kinds of living beings are terrified by miscreants in his kingdom. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer. Therefore, I must kill this most wretched man because he is violent against other living beings. Seems like we're getting recommendations for the death penalty, Kaustubha. What do you think about this?
Well, we're
That's what it's sounding like
setting
to
that
me.
topic aside. This is what I picked up. You went straight to death penalty. Okay, cool. But
Right, he's killing a cow, and they're going to kill him.
But look at this. This is what I thought was interesting. It said, "Hyartanam arti nigraha." That it's the duty of the king, or you could say the rulers, or the government, to subdue the sufferings of those who suffer. That's who they're really subduing, right? Like that's the first
Subdue the
responsibility,
suffering.
right? Yeah.
Say again? Subdue the suffering.
Subdue the sufferings of those who suffer. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer.
Yeah.
All right, but let's keep reading. There's some really interesting verses that I want to discuss.
You don't want to go down
really
the death penalty pathway right now? Want to bring it back verse?
Let's keep moving. But the texts 16 through 18, it's a really interesting philosophical thing going on there that I think is worth examining in depth today.
Okay, because we could get into Singapore and illegal contraband,
But we do not have to do that. We don't have to do that.
And Japan, where they do sometimes public lashing for small crimes. And there's no crime there. There's no crime there. The host has asked you to start. Okay. Sorry. Okay. We won't go there today, but it's a very interesting topic. He, Maharaj Pariksit, repeatedly addressed and questioned the bull. Kaustubha keeps me in parameters. I don't know if you guys picked up on that yet.
Right.
He repeatedly addressed and questioned the bull. Thus, O son of Sarabi, who has cut off your 3 legs? In the state of the kings who are obedient to the laws of the personality of Godhead, Krishna, there is no one as unhappy as you.
So what's happened to Dharma? Why is Dharma suffering so much? That's the question.
O bull, you are offenseless and thoroughly honest. Therefore, I wish all good to you. Please tell me the perpetrator of these mutilations, which blacken the reputations of the sons of Prita. So the reputations of the kings are being affected by the citizens. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. Sounds like they're recommending the death penalty here. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless.
Setting aside the death penalty for the moment, but what is clearly being described is that that there's meant to be a government that's really concerned about others' sufferings, that is firmly imprinted in the mind of the rulers, that it's their job to relieve people's sufferings and not to tolerate it, whether it be economically, whether it be physically, or due to some other kind of circumstances. That the government it's really, the point is it's called civil service, right? That the government is really their servants. And so Parikshit is kind of speaking his realization of his own duty to step in and help here.
By the way, I'm not pushing a death penalty narrative. All I'm saying is sometimes, because there's a lot of like gray things. Well, was it first degree murder? Was it second degree murder? But sometimes these things, it's like, it's really obvious. This is the guy that murdered these children, this fan. It's obvious. Everyone knows it. He admits to it. In that case, I'm not going to go there. Keep me on track here. Bring me back.
Well, I've already done that about 4 or 5 times, and you seem to not be responding.
I'm just saying.
Okay. You want to keep on track, just keep reading.
Yes.
6:15.
An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though be a denizen of the heavens with armor and decorations. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency.
In other words, if there's an emergency, some of the laws can be broken, right? Some of the principles may need to be broken, but if there's no emergency, and Prabhupada in the commentary will speak about meat eating in that context. If due to some kind of circumstances that are way beyond the normal, it's the killing of animals for food can be forgiven, but in normal times it can't be.
Sure.
But now this gets really interesting now, because now Parikshit has said, like, who's caused this? Who's behind this? And we're going to get some very interesting answers from Dharma the bull.
The personality of religion said, these words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty, captivated by devotional qualities of the Pandavas. Even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings, because we are bewildered by all the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for his personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, while yet others say that activity is responsible. And the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause. Interesting, huh? These are all different ways people think.
Yeah.
I think in Bhakti, we probably think a little bit of all of them. And ultimately, Krishna.
Well, let's discuss that, but read the text 20 as well, and that's where he kind of wraps it up.
There are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. O sage amongst kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence.
Okay. So here's the bull. He's had his legs hacked away, and it's pretty clear who did it. It was the personification of the age of Kali, right? The personification of the age of quarrel and hypocrisy that just did this. And Maharaj Pariksit, he's stepping forward and he's saying, I'm ready to deal with this, to that anyone that causes suffering to an innocent being, I'm ready to deal with it right now. So tell me who did this, and I'm going to take care of it. And the bullet came back. The bull here is the personification of Dharma. And the bull says, it's really hard to ascertain exactly who the cause of my suffering is. Okay. He gave a very philosophical answer. And this philosophical answer, it alludes to the 6 schools of classical Indian philosophy. Raghunath, Hatsi. What are the 6 schools of Nyaya is one.
Karma Mimamsa.
Karma Mimamsa is the second one.
Vedanta.
Vedanta is the third.
Oh.
You're missing like some of the easier ones.
Huh? I missed some of the easier
ones. Yeah.
Vedanta, Karma Mimamsa, Nyaya, yoga.
Yoga.
Missed it. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's one right there, right? Yoga. And then there's one that's kind of connected to yoga.
Bhagavat.
What?
Bhagavat Dharma. I don't know.
Oh.
All right, I've hit a wall. Mary,
okay, I'll give you a hint. Kapila.
Kapila. Yeah. Sankhya.
Yeah. So Nyaya, which is logic. Vaisheshika, which has a lot to do with it's hard to describe. I never really understood Vaisheshika very well. I never studied it, but it has a lot to do with material nature and how it operates. And Samkhya, which is a very heady Jnanic school. Yoga, which is the yogas taught by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, meditative school. Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa, which is has to do with the belief that every action necessarily brings, it's one action that is the cause of the reaction. And that's how far it stems. And then Vedanta, which is what we are. We're the Bhakti Vedantas, right? We're the devotional followers of Vedanta.
Man, David Kinanda put it right up on the board.
All right.
Shut me down. Knew that answer. Good job, David Kinanda.
Yeah, but without getting too much into this, there's the idea that a lot of philosophy, and these are 6 classical schools of Indian philosophy that all stem from the Vedic teachings, but a lot of philosophy has to do, even in Western philosophy, let's speak of Eastern philosophy, trying to understand the cause or the agent of something, right? Like what lies behind this? Now we're here. How did we get there? What's the cause?
This happened. How did it happen? Is it chance?
Am I responsible? Are you responsible? Is God responsible? Is the
karma?
Material energy responsible?
Right. It's good. These are great questions. It develops like thinking people instead of blaming people.
Right. But that's really interesting, right? So let's look at what's happening right here. There's an idea in yoga and Bhakti-yogi, you say that there needs to be an all-encompassing understanding of truth, right? Like not just a superficial understanding, but like an all-encompassing understanding of truth. It has to be both practical, but it also has to go deep, beyond the superficial. It has to address like the immediate superficial circumstances, right? That's what King Pariksit is. He's dealing on that level right now. Hey, there's been a crime committed. Who did this? Let's take care of it. But there also has to, like a yogi, has to be able to think deeper than that as well. What are the unseen circumstances that lie beneath the surface? And when you get there, when you start digging into that, you get into some of the really interesting transformative kind of thought. So Maharaj Pariksit and the bull are operating on 2 different levels. The question is, who or what is the cause of your suffering? And Maharaj Pariksit wants to know who's the direct cause. But Dharma, the bull, is speaking about the indirect cause. It's a little hard to put my finger on why I'm here right now. So both of these approaches are relevant. our philosophy shouldn't be so, how to say it, like ephemeral, that it has no practical application. Yeah, heady or ephemeral, that it has no practical, real application in the world, right? But if we really want to get to the deeper truths in life, we also have to, it's not saying that we should ignore the circumstances of this world and take care of them, but we really need to be able to go deeper. And some of that the searching for the indirect cause is really essential for going deeper into spiritual life, right? Searching out the cause, the direct and indirect causes. There's a lot of verses that go deeper. So the bull is saying, maybe someone did this to me, but perhaps I had something to do with it as well. Right? Maybe my own suffering, I shouldn't just blame my own suffering on others, but there's a deeper truth that lies behind it. And that's when we start to approach the law of karma and so on.
Well, it's one of these things, Kaustubha, which is it will plague people who want to change the world. It's understandable you want to change the world, and we want the world to be a better place. But what happens is, the tendency to happen is, all my effort and all my energy is out there, and even in the name of doing that good, it creates a smoke screen for me changing and me accepting responsibility and seeing a greater plan in the universe. I see what's like right in front of my face. So there has to be some attention to problems and issues that are going on, but it shouldn't be at the cost of understanding that ultimately there's a divine hand in what's going on with me and what happened to me. Otherwise, because the very, very quick default is blame. And that type of thinking creates an ongoing backdrop of sadness in our life. Why me is a mantra that people chant on a regular basis. It's not fair is the mantra people chant on a regular basis. And I know in my life, when I'm defaulting to that mantra, there's no getting out of it. Unless I see my life is part of something much bigger than what just happened, then I'm going to feel victimized all the time. And it's going to make me suffer. I have to understand nothing's happening to me. It's all happening for me. I got to stop blaming my circumstance, and I got to see Krishna's hand in everything. And truthfully, that acceptance is so liberating. It makes me just say, okay, there's a lesson here. There's a lesson right in my face.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to see it, but it's right in my face. It can't get any closer to my face. So I think it's beautiful, and I think it's for devotees, people practicing bhakti. We do care, but we really also want to say, okay, what's my responsibility in this? How is this a blessing also in the greatest picture? And there's so many stories of great tragic things actually are blessings, but I can't see it because I have very narrow blinders on often.
It reminds me a little bit of what you've quoted to me before, and something that I've really tried to take to heart. And that was what you asked in my mind, like a really, a person that's a great example to me. And that's someone that we want to bring on the show. We've been talking about reaching out to him. And that's Garanga Das, who is he's a monk from the Radha Gopinath temple in Mumbai, which is a temple that you and I are both very connected with. Radha Swami's really the mentor of that temple, founder, you could say, in a sense, of that temple. And Garanga Das is like this, he's like a graduate of IIT, which is like this ridiculously competitive school to get into. So he's just like this brilliant mind. But he's one of these people that's also like a brilliant manager. He just like gets stuff done. And all these huge projects that Radha Swami has conceived of and directed, it's like so much of the practical work is carried out under the direction of Garanga Das. So he's one of these persons, he's not only like an incredible manager, he's incredibly learned in yoga philosophy. He can speak, about it in incredible depth. He just moves around getting, important devotional service done, right? Yeah, you asked him something like, how did you get to be like you are, or something like that? Was that your question?
Me and my wife were traveling. My wife loves him too. He's one of these guys.
Yeah.
He's just very lovable, and he's very simple guy too.
Yeah.
My wife said, how do you get to be like you? Are you born like you, or it's just the ongoing question? Are you born like you, or can we do something to get that way?" And he said, "Well, there's certain."
Now,
things-
hold it. Now, let's frame this. Right? Because like this is a life lesson right here, right? This answer is just like most people never come to thinking of this, but you could see like with this person who's like incredibly deep spiritually and incredibly effective in doing the practical service in the world. This was what he focused on, or one of the things that he focused on. Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, two things. If you
Two things.
he's giving all of his success in spiritual and material. I mean, the material things he does, most of us have never done. To run a project like the Eco Village, thousands of moving parts, hundreds of employees, construction going on. I mean, if you got a guy working on your house to redo your bathroom, that's a project. Imagine setting up like a village. It's unbelievable.
You never see him stressed out. He's just like moving around calmly, taking care of
I'm
his
sure
stuff.
there was some stress there, but never seemed stressed out. All right, so here's the two things he said to me. He said, or he said to my wife, he said, how do I go about my day? He goes, well, I've made a commitment to chant 16 rounds on my beads. So he does meditation, japa meditation for 2 hours every day before 7 a.m. He has to finish before 7 a.m.
Okay.
And we were like, okay. And then he said, and I've made a commitment to never blame anybody or criticize anyone if something's wrong. And of course, my cynical mind was like, oh, come on. How can you do that? You got a project, you got so many things are happening here, people screw up. He said, well, that doesn't mean like I can't fire a person or something like that. But I will take full responsibility if something's wrong. I'm not going to blame other people.
And he said he doesn't complain. Is that right?
He doesn't complain about anything. All these things, criticism, blame, complain, they're all three ugly brothers.
Criticism, blame, complain.
Complain, blame, and criticize.
I think it was better the other way. Criticize, blame, complain.
The three ugly brothers.
Okay.
But it's really true, because when you live and complain, criticism, blame, and complain, what a life that is. Where first of all, it's incredibly disempowering for yourself. It means you're just you're a victim of circumstance. Whereas once you say I have some responsibility, there is what can I do here to make things different?
Right. Otherwise, imagine and when I think of Garanga Prabhu, I think of one of the most efficient people I know in the world, It's like most people have a hard time just managing any small thing, and he's managing many big things. And still doing all this meditation, and still, so learned, and he's a teacher as well, and he's meeting with billionaires, literally, and then he's moving on and like running, helping to run this whole eco village, and then he's taking on the next project, and
then he's singing a song in the temple,
and then singing songs at the temple, giving
for us,
and traveling around the world, and but it must be that his mind is not burdened by a lot of the garbage that we tend to allow our mind to wallow in for days at a time. That he just doesn't entertain that stuff.
It's not dented cans.
He's an undented can. But that discipline that he's got, that now that idea that I'm not going to complain, there's a philosophical basis to it, that just a very simple idea that the suffering that comes my way is due to my own previous activity. So there's two causes, right? There's the immediate cause. Right? Parikit is dealing in terms of the immediate cause, the direct cause, which is, hey, who just cut your legs off? I want to deal with him. And again, we're not saying that there's no forum or need for people to embrace a duty where they deal with the immediate cause. But as a philosopher, as someone that wants to go deeper into life, one has to become, absorbed in contemplating the cause behind the cause. And so the Bhakti-yogi will say, okay, perhaps that person brought some suffering into my life. But if that's so, isn't it that the law of karma dictates that the suffering that I'm experiencing is caused by my own previous activities? So although in one sense this person is the direct cause, I know, I have faith that they're really just being a messenger, right? That somehow they're playing the role of my own, of a reaction to my own reaction. So I'm responsible. This person may be the direct cause, but I'm the indirect cause and in the more fundamental cause. So let me respond on that level, right? Let me respond on that level.
It's a good experiment today, Mara. What do you think?
Takeover Monday kind of
The rest of the day, Mara, no complaining. Rest of the day, no complaining. When you complain, it's like marrying misery.
Marrying misery.
It's like signing a contract with sadness. Once I complain, and you know what it is? It's a practice. Complaining is a practice. If you're around people that complain, then you start complaining. You get better at complaining. It becomes part of your verbal repertoire.
Contagious.
And if you just end it or have a red flag come up when you start your complaining, it can actually change everything. And it can change the atmosphere if you're the head of the household. It can change the atmosphere of your whole house and your kids. If you're Mara working in the kitchen, it can change the, it can change the conversation with the cooks, your line chefs or whatever they are called. Talking language. Sushi chef, your vegan sushi chefs. It can change them.
Sushi chef. But you know what I like is the idea that the yogi, they're always interpreting. I can interpret it direct or indirect. I could look at the direct cause or the indirect cause here. But what the yogi does is they especially spend time with whatever is going to draw out of them more transformation, more positive transformation. Like, for instance, you've kind of encoded these 6 pillars of bhakti that you have, right, Raghu?
Yeah.
And so in them, like, one of them is that I will not take offense.
Take no offense.
If someone says something to me that might be disturbing or something, I'm gonna let that go right off, just like that didn't even happen. It's nothing, right?
Nothing.
But then when you're dealing with you have another one that's like how kind and courteous you're going to treat everyone else, though, right? Like the kind of sensitivity in which you treat everyone else, or you're quick to apologize.
Quick to apologize is one. See the good in others.
So like, so I'm not going to take any offense, and so that means like when it comes down to like when it's something's happening to me, I'm not going to take any offense. But in terms of dealing with others, I'm going to be very careful, never to offend, to apologize, to make up for it. So like on either end, you're tuning it so that you're putting the responsibility on yourself. And it's that kind of serious, and it's right there in the Shikshastakam from Sri Chaitanya,
It's all stolen. All my stuff is stolen and repackaged and upcycled from the
Very good. So in this most essential verse, for practicing bhakti, trinadapi sunichena tadori vasuhishnuna amanena manadena kirtanaya sadahari, that if I want to be absorbed in the spiritual sound in the kirtan, amanena manadena, I'm expecting no one to show me great respect. That's not my concern, but I'm being very careful to respect everyone. So when it comes to interpreting what's the cause, Maharaj Pariksit as the protector, he's saying, I'm ready to do something to protect you. But Dharma, the bull, is saying, I don't know if it's not so easy to figure out who put me in this condition. There are different philosophers that think about it in different ways. And he's not just pointing the finger. So again, not to say that we don't need to, justice needs to be carried out. And the whole beginning of the chapter was all about that. And that's why you're constantly going on about the death penalty, right? It's like, there do need to be strong administrators that are correcting the wrongs. There needs to be justice. But as a yogi, we're trying to go still deeper beyond the surface. We're trying to get to the deeper levels of understanding the karana, the cause.
The cause of all causes.
And ultimately it goes to the cause of all causes, sarva karana, which is ultimately Krishna, right? And that whatever's happening to my life, I know ultimately Krishna has allowed this to happen, and it can be the source of my spiritual growth.
Our life is in divine hands, Mara. You got that?
There we go.
Woo! No complaining today, everybody. We're going to make a little experiment. For the rest of the day, we're not going to complain. criticize, or what's the third one? Complain, criticize, or bastardize,
Compare.
minimize.
Compare.
There was another rhyming one. Complain? Huh?
It wasn't compare, was it?
It wasn't compare.
Blame. It's not shame.
Shame.
Criticize.
How come we can't?
We
There's
forgot
one
it
I did-
already.
Blame, complain, criticize.
Blame, complain, criticize.
Say it again.
Blame, complain,
Blame,
criticize.
blame, complain, criticize. Thank you. No blaming today. No blaming. Catch yourself. Let a red flag come up. Criticize. Blame, criticize, or complain. See what will happen if you do that experiment. Write it down. Matter of fact, you're going to get a little tattoo right on your forehead. No complaining, no blaming, no criticism. You're looking for a new tattoo? You come to me. I'll give you some ideas. And we want to thank Kishore and Bali. These guys are incredible. From
Love
the divine transcendental musical kirtan dynasty of the Rico family and friends. Always impressed. Thanks for all our Zoomers. I was having a special appreciation for you guys yesterday. Like, man, every day they're here. And if they're not, I know it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Zoom. Those I didn't get to say hello. And remember, Wisdom of the Sages is supporter. What do we call it again? Wisdom of the Sages.
Listener supported.
A community-supported podcast. Doesn't that sound cool, just saying that? We're a community-supported podcast. And but we've incentivized it all by creating archives of valuable yogic wisdom that you can unlock by joining our Patreon group at patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. It's getting tastier and tastier each week. And I have an announcement. We were going to have a Sweet Baby Krishna this Thursday evening. Sweet Baby Krishna.
Bringing it
We're
back.
going to do it at
7?
6
Eastern time.
6 a.m. No,
AM?
6 p.m. Sweet Baby Krishna, 6 p.m. Thursday. Please join us. Everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Thank you. Go to Apple Podcasts, write a little review. Tell us just say something nice. It doesn't take much time. You can do it anywhere. Just sit down, make a little thing. And thanks for everybody joining us and making this, making the Bhagavatam fun. This is how, right? Spiritual life should be fun. It shouldn't be just like, prayers.
Now hold it. Look at Sean Murphy, vegan trucker over there. He's like got new moves. I haven't seen these moves.
Is Vegan Trucker losing
He's
his
doing-
mind here?
He's got something like
I
this
mean,
going on.
I was a weird kid. I liked church, but it was very like solemn. I liked church. I was one of the weirdos who liked church.